Now, Rupa, I know that you were with Sir David just on Wednesday evening. Your reflections on the man?
I mean, just the whole chain of events is incomprehensibly shocking and unbelievably sad, because he was such a nice chap. And, you know, I knew him a bit since 2015, because he's the kind of cheery person that always had a smile, always would say hello to you. But over the last week, I served on a parliamentary delegation led by him. And so I kind of saw him every day for a week close up, and you really get to know someone then. And extraordinary man, such good people skills, such a pleasant, honourable, dedicated to his constituents bloke. And, you know, last time I saw him was actually at the baggage reclaim on Wednesday night. And before that, within the trip, you know, kids are missing you and whatever. I remember being on a video call to my son. I was next to him and I said to David, you know, my boy's very naughty. Tell him to be good at school. And, you know, he took the phone and was talking to my boy. Other people wouldn't have done that sort of thing. And the last thing he said is, look after that boy of yours for me. He's a good lad. So it's just really painful. I mean, we always say because MPs, although it looks like we have an adversarial chamber, you have a face-off type situation, and on these programmes you set us up against each other, we're really sort of friends underneath it. We all want the best for our constituents. And he really was the best of all parliamentary traditions. You know, Paul and I, we get on very well. Before the cameras are rolling, after it, we'll chat. But, you know, with this one, I think just because I saw him so recently, it just seems even more raw and painful. And it's just such a senseless killing, you know, to be maimed at your surgery, to be slain at your surgery. It's not a one-off anymore, is it? I mean, I've seen this twice now in my parliamentary career. Both of us have. Jo Cox and now him. And I just hope something lasting comes out of it. But what a nice man, and what a huge loss to Southend. I mean, even on the trip, he had his Make Southend a City face mask. He was pulling out for all these international dignitaries. A week ago, we were at the International Labour Organisation talking about trade union rights, workers' rights. He had that.
The true champion for Southend, absolutely. And Paul, you also knew him.
Yeah, I did. I mean, how fantastic that he's taken the Southend becoming a city as a global campaign now, I was going to say. And what Rupa was saying was really interesting, because what she said just before camera was when he was with her at the baggage reclaim, you were last to have your bags off, and he stayed. He made sure you were okay. That was the sort of measure of the man. He always looking after other people, looking out for other people.
Rupa, how do you feel today about your personal security? Do you feel more vulnerable, and what would you like to see change?
I mean, I'd like to think lightning doesn't strike twice, but I mean, at the same time, there's a worry there could be copycat attacks. People have seen this. They might be getting funny ideas that, oh, this is the way to get on TV. I held my in-person advice surgery on Friday. It was from 4 to 6, so immediately after the news had broken. And my mind was on what was going on, to be honest, and the phone kept pinging. I texted our police before, because again, I feel with these things, the initial reaction is something must be done. So after the Jo Cox, we were all advised to have appointment-only surgeries, which is what this was, and to let the police know. And because I've been out of practice, I didn't do one since March 2020. This was only the 4th. So I did text my police to say this is where I'll be, and got the office to email the names and addresses of the people coming. And then 4 coppers turned up, which I hadn't expected. And I said, look, guys, this is excessive. Can you go and catch some criminals? I just was making you aware. So we've got to have that right balance. I think sensible precautions. But at the same time, when people say, let's carry on as normal, it sounds a bit macho and bravado, like, oh, I won't let it determine. You need a mix of both. Yeah, no one wants to live a bulletproof existence behind security grills. I mean, then that would cut the link between the constituent and the MP, which is so fundamental to our democracy. But at the same time, we do have to have sensible measures put in place. A lot of times people don't take MPs seriously. It's an unpopular job. You know, we're seen as always snouts in the trough and on the take. So, yeah, mixing the two. And something has to be lasting. Because, again, with Jo Cox, for about a week, I was texting the police to say where I'd be, and then, you know, wore off. So I think, yeah, lasting change has to happen.
OK, so we need to see something long-term put in place to make you all feel safer and be literally safer as well. Thank you both very much. So, Rupa, surely, though, these efforts to bring down pollution in the capital shouldn't come at the expense of disabled residents?
Well, I mean, the bigger picture is we have a climate emergency, and the World Health Organization only this week sort of changed their limits. So we have a moral and legal duty that people can breathe clean air. You know, kids are growing up with stunted lungs in our capital. There are thousands of premature deaths, as you said. Even I think the CBI has said that if we sort all this out, 3 million working days won't be lost anymore. Because if you think about the knock-on effects, it's hospitalisation, social care, your bigger NHS bills, and we had cleaner air throughout the pandemic, so we need to safeguard that because, you know, less people were driving. So
but these disabled people are being discriminated against.
Look,
why can't they be exempt?
What I would say is, well, there are actually exemptions up to 2025 if you're registered disabled or registered disabled passenger. So there are bits and pieces there, and there are also 2 separate scrappage schemes where you can get up to £2,000 for a replacement vehicle. And this is about replacing vehicles that are spreading noxious air. To be honest, 80% of existing cars on the road, my car is not a new one, but it's ULEZ compliant, are already there. And you don't have to have a brand new car. I think any car from 2005 onwards, a lot of those are within the new scope. So I think we need to think of the bigger picture.
It's Dickensian, this, isn't it?
It just sounds like the third sector charities are picking up the tab for the government's economic mismanagement and for what is a state failure. I mean, a food bank is a place where they give a number of emergency parcels as a last resort. You need to be referred. I used to be a referring agent. I was given some vouchers to give out at surgeries for people in need. It's not a sort of free-for-all, it's quite a, you know, we need to give people dignity as well. So it's a thing of last resort, and the fact that they've actually, use has quadrupled since 2015 is a shameful thing. In our country, nobody should have to go to a food bank at all. And the £20 uplift that's going, I mean, Universal Credit had a lot of problems anyway, and it was below par. And for that to happen on top of all this is a kick in the teeth.
That is all we have time for this week. My thanks to Rupa and to Paul. Thank you very much for your reflections on Sir David Amess. Thanks for joining us. See you again next week. Bye for now.